people to the rescue. What would we do without you? You make all our dreams come true. White people to the rescue. White people to the rescue. What would we do without you? White people to the rescue. What would we do without you?
Peace and welcome to the Message to the Black Fam show. As corny as that intro music was, there's a lot of truth in it. And as you probably know, this is usually my week to be off and just be enjoying myself, kicking around, not doing much. But I decided to do this broadcast because honestly, people are getting on my nerves, and you may fit the bill. I don't know. It's like we haven't learned. We didn't learn from Katrina. We don't learn from our 500-year history in this country that white people are not going to help us. It is not their job to help us. It is their job to make sure that we die. So when all of these emergencies come up, we're often unprepared. We're not doing anything to prepare. And I kind of expect that from the average black person because, of course, they of all people think that white people are their saviors. So I'll give them a pass. But people who are nationalistic, people who listen to War on the Horizon, especially people who claim that they want to see the white infrastructure demolished, basically, a lot of us are full of it. Because if that's the case, if white people were erased from the planet tonight, what are you going to do tomorrow if you don't even have an extra roll of toilet paper in your house? We have to start being more intelligent. We have to start being more responsible, and we have to get real about, we say this is a war, we're at war, this is warfare. Well, you can't fight if you're hungry. You can't fight if you're mentally not prepared because you have to worry about all this little petty stuff because you haven't put any thought into it beforehand. It's time for black people to step up and become, if you want to call it preppers, if you want to call it survivalists, or if you just want to call it using common sense and preparing for a rainy day, whether that be a disaster, natural disaster, a man-made disaster, economic collapse, which is definitely going to happen. It actually already is happening. We just don't know it yet. Whether it's a race war, any crap hits the fan scenario. We need to be prepared. Now, I know that you're not ever going to totally be prepared for every single situation that could happen. That goes without saying, but we need to do something. And so I decided to go on and do a program today to just cover some basics. I am not an expert in survivalism. I know a thing or two, picked up a thing or two here and there, but I'm by no means an expert. But I will share some of the things that I know. For people who are either subscribed to me on my blog or on YouTube, some of the stuff will be just a review. But we're going to talk about some of the things, just realistic everyday things that we can start doing to prepare. Some of it is strategy. Some of it is going out and purchasing things, whatever needs to be done. And I want to hear from you too, because like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to share the little bit that I know. Just so that we can kind of start to work towards this, because I can just see into the future and see that there's going to be a lot of people that I really care about that might not make it because they're not taking it seriously, because they're sitting up here talking about faggots this and white people this and whatever. But when it comes down to it, you can't eat bullets. You have to have bullets to protect yourself and whatever you have, but you cannot eat bullets. So we need to step it up. We need to become more sophisticated, and we need to be more in touch with reality. I'm hoping that the storm on the East Coast was somewhat of a wake-up call. Even with this, people had time to prep. A lot of people still didn't prep. Luckily, it was not as bad as it could have been, even though it was pretty bad in some areas. But it just goes to show, we sit around and twiddle our thumbs, and at the last minute, we're like, oh, what should I do? I can't even tell you some of the posts I've seen on Facebook. Oh, man, what do we do? Oh, the storm's coming. What? Duh. Now is not the time to be thinking about that. So I'm going to give the call-out number for you today. Call-in number is 760-569-7676. Participation code 948656#. Again, 760 569-7676. Participation code 948656#. Call in with your suggestions, because I know that you can tell me just as much as I can tell you. Probably everybody has a different specialty. I would suggest tonight that you grab a pen and a piece of paper. This is actually going to be a two-part show. We're coordinating today. You're going to get survival message to the Black Fam style, and then we're going to turn around and do part 2 with the cipher. So you're going to get it DJ and Kemet style. So from now until 11 o'clock, we're talking about preparedness, we're talking about survival, and I hope that you take note, because literally paying attention and not paying attention, heeding the warning and not heeding the warning can be the difference between life and death, not only for you, but for your babies, for your spouse, for anybody who depends on you. Now today, I actually am going to have a co-host with me, my King David. He's going to be chiming in from time to time, and that is because survival is really a family thing. You have to sit down with your family, because luckily we balance each other. Men and women are different. Men are going to look at survival one way, women are going to look at survival another way, and if we both implement what is important to us or what we see as threats, we'll probably come out ahead. I tend to think more outside the box. He tends to think a little bit more inside the box, but it's a good balance, because sometimes my thinking outside of the box is way, way outside the box. That's how I ended up in Detroit. So it's a good balance. So I would suggest the same for your family, to the best of your ability. Some people just aren't going to prep, and so you have to do it alone. But if you can do it as a family, then do it as a family. Keep everybody in mind. You don't want to just do like a lot of white people do, where it's really rugged, and they're talking about, I'm going to bug out and I'm going to go live in the woods and I'm going to live off juices and berries. You a lie. No, you're not. Number one, as a vegetarian, I know it's going to take a lot more to keep you satisfied and keep you full than some berries you're going to find in the woods. And number two, you go into the woods as a Black person, it's going to be a whole lot of peckerwoods there waiting to kill you and probably eat your corpse. So that's not going to work for us. We need to be able to do some urban survival, since that's where most of us are, and we're going to need to have some kind of comfort in our home. So we're going to start there. Now, I do have a series of videos on YouTube. You can always go and watch those. If you go to YouTube and type in What Mothers Seldom Teach, they'll pop up. The last one I did yesterday, and I was talking about out-of-state contacts. It's very important to get an out-of-state contact. It can be a family member, a friend, doesn't matter. And this is for two reasons. Because number one, in the event of an emergency, a lot of times communication lines are down. It can be very hard to get in touch with each other. So you may, your mother may live across town, or your father, and you don't know how they're doing. You don't know if they need help. You have no idea what's going on. Well, if you have an out-of-state contact, then even if you can't communicate within your city, you can call that contact and say, okay, I'm all right. I'm going to be staying here. I'll call you back tomorrow. Now, later on, your father might call and say, I'm doing fine. This is where I am. I'll call you back in a few. You call back tomorrow to your contact. They say, okay, yeah, your father said he's fine. This is where he is. If you want to meet up, now you can make a connection, versus wandering around aimlessly looking for somebody that you may not find because they may not be in their home anymore. Say it flooded and they're not there. You need to know where to reach them. They may not be able to call you. They may be able to call somebody out of state. They may be able to get through. So you don't want to waste a lot of time. So that's why I say it's very important to have an out-of-state contact, because their communication lines may be open a little bit better. Now, you don't want to choose just anybody as your out-of-state contact. You want to be sure it's somebody that pays their phone bill and keeps their phone on. There would be nothing worse than trying to call somebody out of state and these fools' phone is cut off. You don't want to do that. You also want to make sure that this is a person who is sober the majority of the time. You don't want to call and they've been drinking and then you're trying to give your information to some drunk person who's going to have to try to remember that and give it to the next person. You don't want somebody that's going to be flaky, somebody that, they answer their phone when they want to, that kind of person. Make sure it's somebody, a quality person and somebody of character that you're going to be calling and you're using as your out-of-state contact. And make sure everybody knows this is your out-of-state contact. So anybody you care about, your aunts, your uncles, grandparents, cousins, children, anybody you care about, baby's mama, whatever, make sure that everybody knows this is a number to call so you can keep up with each other. It just is a peace of mind, if nothing else. Even if everybody's okay and nobody needs help, it makes you feel good to know everybody is accounted for. And if somebody does need help, if somebody is like trapped in their attic or something like that, of course you want to know that, because then you can get help over there, or you can go over there and help those people out. So either way, it's just good to know. You have to keep up with your other loved ones. The out-of-state contact is also good for evacuation. Now, this may be the same person or it may be a different person. You should have people, if at all possible, in another region of the country where you can go to if you need to. If there is a major disaster on the scale of like Katrina, where they're telling you you need to move out, you shouldn't be sitting there at the last minute thinking, I have nowhere to go. Most of us have a friend in another part of the country, a relative. We're meeting people on social networking sites, and some of us get really close to those people. So you should have somebody. Hopefully you have somebody. And if not, then you need to start talking to people. And it should be a reciprocal thing. It should be something like, if something major happens here, me and my family will come stay with you. If anything happens in your neck of the woods, you come stay with us. It's not even something that we have to discuss. This is our understanding. Enough said. It's very important because you never know when you're going to need to evacuate. This is also something that you're going to need your spouse for. Definitely. Me and my spouse talk about this periodically, because for a long time, really, there was not a lot of people that we would have wanted in our home. And that's something you really have to consider, because if you're bringing somebody into your home for a short time, it doesn't matter. Let them come. But if this is going to be a long-term thing, especially like a crap hits the fan scenario, you have to be very cautious about the kind of people you're letting into your house. They have to have something to offer. They need to be an asset. So say they're evacuating. Say that you're somebody who stores food, and the people who want to come have not stored food. They need to bring something to the table. They can't just come to your house and leech off of you and use all of your supplies, and they have nothing to offer, unless it's somebody like an elder or somebody that's injured. But an able-bodied person in our age group, they need to be able to offer something. So that something could be medical knowledge. Maybe they have a nursing background or EMT background or something like that. Okay, that would be an even exchange, because we may need some kind of medic or something like that. So fine, we'll share our food. You give us your medical know-how, no problem. It could be somebody who didn't stock food, but they did stock ammo. There's a lot of those people. There's a lot of people who think that they're going to eat their bullets, and that the bullets will nourish them. But that could be a balance. If you're somebody who stocks food, but you haven't gotten around to the ammo and guns yet, okay, well, that's an even exchange. They're going to come help you defend what you have, and in exchange, they get some of your food. You want to make sure that these are moral people, people who you can get along with, because you're going to be in close quarters. If you have like 2 families or 3 families in one house, you're probably going to get on each other's nerves. So you want to make sure that these people aren't annoying to begin with. That'll make it even worse. My husband was telling me when we were discussing this, not actually because of the hurricane, and we were saying really in our city there's not too many people that we would want to live here. Most of the people, if they came over to our house in that kind of situation, not only would they be welcome, but if they persisted, we may have to utilize some self-defense because they're not getting in, just because of their character or certain habits they have. He had a Muslim woman tell him that she ate more than she prayed. And looking at her, it's obvious, she has a weight problem. But, if a Muslim prays 5 times a day and you eating more than you pray, that's going to be a problem. You're not going to come and eat up whatever little bit of food I have because you have no self-control. That's an issue. Not, you're not welcome in my house. I'm sorry. Not in that kind of situation. Short term, maybe. Long term, emergency, no. So we discussed this quite a bit, and we kind of came up with a list of who we thought might be a good fit. And sometimes you're not able to tell people directly because you might not necessarily want the government in on stuff. So, if you're not able to tell them face to face, sometimes you just have to hint around to it. Chances are, if I was bugging you and making sure you was okay, chances are you would have a home with us. If you were on the East Coast and you didn't hear from me at all, then chances are you can't come to my house. It's not that deep. Sometimes you have to hint around to it, but you have to start to form networks that are good people and will get along well. Did you have anything to add to that? No? Okay. Speaking of evacuation, you're going to want to prepare for that. You're going to want to have maps of your area and regions around your area, because if an evacuation is called and you have a lot of people trying to get out, they're all going to be using the highways. You need to know alternate routes that you can use to get out, which is really easy, but most people don't know. Most cities are made up of really long roads, and if you just stick on that long road, you'll go from your city all the way out to the country somewhere. I know in Cincinnati, there's roads that will take you from Cincinnati to Toledo or Cincinnati to Cleveland. It's just a matter of knowing what those roads are. You also want to keep pretty much a full tank of gas in your car. Don't let your gas go below half. I've heard that saves on gas, actually, so it's a good thing economically. But at least on a half a tank of gas, you can get pretty far unless you get caught in a traffic jam or something like that. If you're on the roads and you have a half a tank of gas, you should be able to get far enough away that you'll either be able to fill back up and keep going, or at least get a good enough distance away to be safe from whatever's going on in your location. You want to have what they call a go bag together, or you'll hear devils call it a bug out bag. And you just keep a lot of essentials in there. You're going to want maybe some kind of non-perishable food, water, extra clothes, blankets, flashlights, all of that kind of stuff you're going to want to have in a bag and be ready to move out whenever you need to move out. This is really basic, but I was surprised how many people don't do it. If you have a vehicle, you need to have jumper cables. You need to have a spare tire. You need to have a flashlight. You want to keep some bottled water in there. Now, with the bottled water, be careful if you're using it for drinking, like in the summertime, because heat will make some of that plastic kind of leach into the water. So if you have it in the car in the summer, you're going to want to rotate it pretty frequently, once every 3 or 4 weeks, which isn't a problem because you can go to the dollar store and get bottled water like for $1. So it's not like it's a huge expense or a huge waste. And then whatever water you're getting rid of, just use it for another purpose besides drinking. But that is something that you want to keep in the car because you don't want to get stranded with nothing to drink, nothing to eat, no jumper cables. Some men nowadays, because they've been raised by women or because of the effeminization process, I don't know why, but it's a lot of men who don't know even how to change a spare tire. Now, I've never changed a spare tire, but I've seen it done enough that I could probably figure it out as long as I could get the bolt off. It's men who don't know how to do that at all. I don't know when it started. I don't know where they do that. But this is a new phenomenon with a lot of younger brothers. So learn some basic car maintenance. At least learn how to change a spare tire. Another thing that you can do a lot, an excuse that people have or say a lot is, I don't have any money, so I can't start prepping. And that is so far from the truth. I don't know. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can start prepping at the dollar store. And again, I have a video on YouTube that actually demonstrates just some basic things you can get from the dollar store. But when you start talking about prepping, you just want to get extra of what you have. That's the best way to start. You get into long-term food storage and all that when you can afford it. But basically, things you can get from the dollar store. You can get first aid, Band-Aids, knee braces, ointments, muscle creams, aspirin, all kinds of stuff you can get from the dollar store. You can get toilet paper. You definitely want to get some of that. I would say whenever you buy toilet paper, just buy an extra roll. Get toilet paper. Personal hygiene products, you want to make sure that you have plenty of deodorant, and that they have that there. It may not be what you normally use, but it's usable. Unless you're like me, like I make my own, because the natural stuff doesn't work, and the stuff you buy from the store has a lot of chemicals in it. So you can look online and find a recipe for deodorant using coconut oil, cornstarch, baking soda, and you can put some essential oil in there to make it smell however you want to. It's not really necessary. Sometimes you can use lavender because it's soothing to the skin. So you can make your own deodorant, or if you already are using the commercialized stuff, just get more of that. You don't want to run out. Personal hygiene is important, especially if you're going to be in close quarters. As I said before, they have water at the dollar store. They have a lot of children's stuff at the dollar store, which is really important, because adults can understand this is an emergency situation and we need to be focused. Children don't get that as much. Children are children. They're going to want to play. They need to be distracted. They don't need to sit there and listen to grown-up conversations, because their mind won't be at ease. And then you have stressed out children, and that's the last thing you want. So if you go to the dollar store, you have to be careful that the toys you get don't have small parts on it. A lot of them are made in China and could not be the best quality. So pay attention to what you're getting. But, I mean, they have coloring books. They have puzzles, which are good for actually the whole family. If you get one of the big puzzles, putting that together takes your mind off of whatever is going on. They have dolls, they have robots and airplanes and all kinds of stuff you can get from the dollar store just to have. Don't even take it out of the packaging. Just put it away in a box. Have like a little plastic bin of toys for different age groups. Not just for your children, because remember, you may be receiving people at some point. So just get a variety. It's only $1. It's not going to break the bank. If you go to the dollar store, again, it may not be what you would normally use, but it's good to have in reserve. You can get things like toothbrushes. They have maybe 6 in a pack for $1. That's enough for your whole family. Get 2 or 3 packs, and you have enough toothbrushes to last you for a few months. They have like plastic sheeting that you put on over the carpet or the furniture or whatever when you're painting. That's good for a lot of things, especially if you need to quarantine off a room or something like that. Get plenty of plastic sheeting. It's $1. They have candles. A good thing that they have is dish soap, because in an emergency situation, soap is soap. Makes no difference. So the dish soap has a lot in it to begin with, and like I said, it's only $1. That's something, whether you get it from the dollar store or a grocery store, just get an extra one every time you go. If you go shopping once a week, every week you go, just get an extra one. You can't have too much, because that dish soap, of course, can be used to clean dishes. It can be used to clean your home, your counters or whatever, your floors, and it can be used as your shower gel. Usually the dish soap is formulated so it won't dry out your skin too much. They don't want you to have dishpan hands. So you can use it just as a shower gel. If you get one of those little poofy, scrunchy things, they also have those at the dollar store. Then you already have soap to keep yourself clean. Soap is soap. It doesn't make a difference if it's hand soap, dish soap, shower gel. It's all the same thing. Go on and use it. You're going to want to have facilities in case with this thing that just happened yesterday, this hurricane. In some parts of New Jersey, the pumps for their sewage system actually shut down. And so you can't flush your toilet or drain your bathtub or anything like that, because if you do, it's just going to stop up, and then the sewage is going to run into your house and all of that, because everybody's flushing and there's no place for this to go. So they do have homemade toilets. And I actually have some links to some on Amazon. If you go to messagetotheblackfam.com, that's message, the number 2, theblackfam.com. If you go there, there's links to a lot of my favorite survival websites. And there's also some things on Amazon, so you can either buy it straight from there, or you can just go and look and see what I'm talking about. And if you find a price that's better somewhere else, then, by all means, buy it wherever you find it cheap. But it's basically like a bucket, and you put a toilet seat over it, and then they have waste disposal bags that you can use, and you just use that as a toilet, dispose of it, as it fills up or what have you. And that way you can still use the bathroom without clogging up your toilet. It's very important to think about these things now, because you don't want to be in a situation later where you don't have it. And a lot of these things really aren't very expensive. You can even make one yourself if you have an extra toilet seat lying around the house in a 5-gallon bucket. The 5-gallon buckets you can buy online at emergency sites, or if you go to the grocery store, if you have a large grocery store and go to a bakery, the bakery section, if you ask them if they have any 5-gallon buckets, a lot of times they just throw them away. So it doesn't hurt to ask. They may just give it to you for free, and then you can use that for food storage, or you can use that as a makeshift toilet. Make sure that you have a shovel, because as the bags fill up, you're going to want to bury it outside. And over a long-term survival situation, if it's like a crap hits the fan survival situation where people are starving and it's looting and it's really bad, then you're going to want to make sure you're very careful when you're burying waste, because people aren't stupid. They'll see you burying that, they'll figure out what it is, and they'll know if it's coming out, that means there's something going in. They'll figure you have food in your home. So just something else. They have something called a water bob. I saw this a few years ago. I haven't purchased one. But it's like a plastic liner that goes in your bathtub. You can put it in there if you know that like a hurricane or something is coming, and you can fill it up. And that gives you gallons and gallons of water right there in your tub that you'll have access to in case you lose access to water or don't have clean water during the emergency. It almost reminds me of like in the 80s when we had the water beds and you filled it up. It's kind of like the latex plastic or whatever, and you just fill it up. Same concept, it just goes in your bathtub. So that might be something good to invest into, because not having enough water is probably going to be one of your biggest threats. Again, for people who think they can't store food because they don't have the money to do so, every time you go to the grocery store, there's some kind of canned goods on sale. Be it green beans, baked beans, vegetarian baked beans, not the kind with pork, whatever. Dry beans. Always look to see what kind of non-perishable foods they have on sale and just grab some. If you have to use a shopper's card, that's okay. You just don't want to overdo it. If you get in the habit of spending an extra maybe $5 or $7 a week, that's going to go pretty much undetected. That's not a large amount of money. So you'd be okay if you do that. If you just get if they have a sale on canned goods, like 70 cents or something like that. You get like 6 of them every time you go to the store. That's not a huge deal. You don't want to go in there and buy large quantities on a shopper's card. Or if you do, get a new shopper's card, put down a bogus address so that they don't know who it is, and pay with cash. Don't pay with a credit card if you want to do like big survival shopping using a shopper's card. You don't want that to be tracked back to you just because we don't trust the government. We never know what's going to happen. They may come confiscating or something like that. You also don't want to have any food supplies out where people can see them. You can store them in closets, under furniture. You can get creative and find places for them, but you don't want to just have them out, and you don't want a whole bunch of food in your pantry. You have some food in there. That way, if somebody comes and they're hungry, you can give them one can and they'll see the pantry and think that's all you have is just a little bit. That's fine. But your major food storage, put somewhere that's not going to be noticed, where people don't have free access to go in and peek around. You want to make sure that you have a can opener. More than one. Again, you can get it from the dollar store for $1. You don't want to be one of those people who have a whole bunch of canned goods and then one can opener, and then that breaks or you lose it, and then you can't open your cans. Don't be that person. Do not be that person. Make sure that you have, 3, 4, 5 can openers. So if you lose one, if one breaks, it's fine. And make sure they're manual can openers and not the electric kind. You want to try to store the types of foods that you would eat on a normal basis, or just real food. You don't want to, like the MREs that they have in military, you can buy those. They're kind of expensive. But I wouldn't do too many of those because they're made for soldiers in combat. So they don't want people using the bathroom while they're in combat. So a lot of times they're made to constipate you, which you don't want during this kind of situation, because constipation actually toxifies your body. It brings on headaches. It makes you lethargic. It makes you not feel good. It can give you flu-like symptoms, all kinds of stuff. You don't want to be stuck with a migraine when you're trying to defend your home because you're constipated. So you want to store things like, canned vegetables are not the best, but it's something. Oatmeal is something that has a lot of fiber. It's something a lot of Black people don't eat, but it's good. Oatmeal does not have an odor, so your neighbors will not be able to detect it. You can eat oatmeal raw. You can put oatmeal in a blender and turn it into flour. You can make granola for the children. Oatmeal is very versatile. You can eat it as a cereal. If you don't have power, you can put liquid in it and let it soak overnight. So like I said, it's very versatile. It's a good thing to have. I'm going to go over some herbal stuff. I would suggest that you write this down. These are just good things. They have medicinal purposes that are good to have around your house. None of these are expensive. None of these are nasty. So they're just good to have. Now, I will say, as far as health goes, now is the time to prepare for that. If you have an illness that you're on medication for, you need to get it together. You need to get your diet together now. You need to get your exercise together now. You need to get your weight down now and try to get off of your medications now. Because there will come a time when you will not have access to those medications. Number one, those medications are killing you anyway, but a lot of you are going to die even quicker if you don't have it. So get off your medications. If you're young, you're able-bodied, no reason to be on medications. I mean, very, very rare circumstances. Diabetes can be reversed through diet. Heart problems, blood pressure can be reversed through diet. Come on, people. We talking about it's warfare. We talking about we want to see the end of white rule. White rule is white medications too. So if you want to see the end of white rule, your medicines are going to be gone. Let's get it together. All right. First on the list is ginger. Now during emergency situation, you probably won't have access to fresh ginger, but they make ginger tea. They also have ginger as a spice you can put in your food, but I use ginger tea a lot. And I don't use it for medicinal purposes. I like it because it actually really, really does taste good. But you can use it for medicinal purposes. It's good for nausea, any kind of indigestion issues, morning sickness, if you have a pregnant woman. It's good for all of those things and more. So it's good to have ginger around. You can either just put the ginger tea in water like you would do a regular tea. A really good drink that I do is half water, half milk. Let the tea seep in it and just use whatever sweetener you want. It's really creamy, it just tastes good. But if you want it for medicinal purposes, that's what you're going to be using it for, is nausea and digestion. Cinnamon tea is another one. And it comes in tea bags. You can get the cinnamon tea. I purchase it pretty frequently. But if you don't have that, you can actually just use cinnamon. It's the same thing. There's no difference between the cinnamon that you put in cookies or baking and the cinnamon that you put in the tea bag. So cinnamon is good for controlling blood sugar. If you have diabetes, that's going to be good for you. It depends on how severe your diabetes are or is as to how much it's going to work, how good it's going to do. And that's why I said reduce or get off your medication now. Because some things, high blood pressure and cancer and things like that, if it doesn't get treated, you have a while. Diabetes is something, if it's way out of order and you run out of insulin or something like that, you're in trouble immediately. And that is a very gruesome and awful way to die. A lot of people died from diabetes in Katrina, and it was horrible. I've heard stories. It's just not a good way to go. Not that there's ever a good way to go, but that's not it. Get your diet right. But if you find yourself in a situation where you have to just have something to help out cinnamon. So if you're diabetic, stock up on that. You can get the tea or you can just get the herb. Get the spice or whatever, mix it in water, drink that. If you have high blood pressure, there is a tea called hibiscus tea. This is one of my favorite teas, actually. When you brew it, it turns red. It looks like Kool-Aid. So it's really good for children. They'll love it. But it tastes good. It has a mild flavor. It's kind of a fruity, floral flavor. I drink it just because I just like it. But that's good with blood pressure. So, like I said, get your blood pressure under control. But if you need it, in an emergency, hibiscus tea works. And sometimes just because of the stressful situation, your blood pressure goes up. So keep that around. Lavender essential oil is good for calming the mind. A lot of people are really stressed in that situation, so you can use aromatherapy. It does work to kind of take people down a notch. It's also good for skin issues. So, if you have some kind of rash or just anything, a minor burn or just anything going on that needs soothing with your skin, lavender oil is good. Lemon oil is a great disinfectant. It also is an energizer as far as aromatherapy, but lemon oil is a good disinfectant. So if you don't have a sanitizing gel for your hands, you can mix that. You don't want to do it straight because it's very strong, but you can mix it with some olive oil or vegetable oil, whatever you have around the house. If you don't have anything, more classy than that, just take a couple drops, put it in there and rub it on your hands. It's a good disinfectant. Also on countertops, things like that, it's a really good disinfectant. So lemon oil. I keep peppermint and lavender around for headaches. If you put it together, you want to just rub it a little bit on the temples and across the forehead if that's where your headache is. You want to be very careful not to get it too close to the eye because the vapors from the peppermint oil can burn your eye a little bit. It's not going to cause any serious damage. It will just be discomfort. So keep it away from the eye, but just rub like the temples kind of near the scalp line and up into the head, and that will help headaches. Clove oil is really good for toothaches. It actually works as good, if not better, as Orajel. The only thing is it's not nasty, but it's strong. Clove is a spice that's used a lot in like pumpkin pies and sweet potato pies, things like that. So it's not nasty. It's just that the oil is really, really strong. So you only want to use 1 drop and just put it wherever your tooth pain is, and that will knock it out. The most important of these is cayenne. Cayenne is good for a lot of things. If you feel the symptoms of a heart attack or a stroke coming on, you can take cayenne and it will stop it. You can either use the cayenne powder or you can use cayenne extract. I actually know people in real life who have done this and it helped. So, it might not reverse any damage that's been done, but it'll stop it from progressing. So if all that you have is like the cayenne that you would put in food, that's fine. Take like a teaspoon of that or as much as you can, drink it down with some water, and repeat that every couple minutes until the symptoms pass or until you can get help. If you have the extract, that's even better. The extract is like a liquid form. You can get it from the health food store. Just put as many drops under your tongue as you can tolerate, because remember, it's hot. But put it under your tongue, and that again will help to stop the symptoms. So just repeat that every few minutes until the danger is gone or until you can get help. That's emergency care for heart attack and strokes. Also, with the cayenne powder, that is also good for frostbite, because frostbite basically happens when your body gets cold and it tries to reserve heat. So it basically will keep the heat going to your head and your torso, but not so much your fingertips and your toes. So if you put the cayenne, just a little bit, not a lot. You don't want to overdo it at all. You'll be very uncomfortable. But just sprinkle a little bit in your socks or in your gloves. If you're in a situation where you don't have heat and it's really, really cold, that will keep the blood flowing to your extremities so you're not as likely to get frostbite. Cayenne is a really powerful herb. It's one of the most powerful herbs out there. It's good for a lot of things. So make sure that you keep that. I keep the extract and the powder. I cook with it. all kinds of things. It's good for anything with the heart, circulation, cardiac issues, even erectile dysfunction, which I won't get into that. But if you go to my blog, that's there too. I'm not getting into it tonight. I'm not going to get hollered at. But any circulatory issue that you may have, male or female, the cayenne will help you with. And you can feel free to chime in whenever you want. Another thing that you're going to have to worry about right now is going to be heat, because it's getting cold. Last week, I'm in Detroit, and it was like 75 degrees. Today, I don't know how cold it is, but it's cold. My heat's on. So weather is likely to change. The first thing that I would do is to get a kerosene heater. Some people are afraid of kerosene heaters, but people use them for years safely without any problems. It's better than freezing. So get some kerosene heater, and a little bit of kerosene. Make sure that you read how to store that properly. But I don't think it takes a whole lot to get you through a disaster. So a little bit of kerosene and a kerosene heater for heat. If you don't get that, if you get caught without it and you don't have heat, you want to go to the smallest room in your house and try to get everybody in there. Don't go in and out a whole lot, because every time you open the door, you're letting out heat. But if you get a bunch of black people in a small room, that kind of attracts heat. You don't want to be in a large open space. That's going to be the coldest space in the house. Get in a small space. If you can, even if you have a tent, the tent will actually hold in heat. So you can all get in a tent and bundle up together. That will keep you warmer than being out in a closed space. Let's see. Blankets. You want to have a sub-zero sleeping blanket if at all possible. They even have sub-zero blankets that are made for two. They're not going to keep you like warm and toasty if it's 30 below, but it will keep you warm enough to survive. It may not be the most comfortable thing in the world, but it works. So a sub-zero bag is good. If you don't get around to that, at least get, they have on the emergency sites, they're called Mylar blankets. And again, if you go to the blog, Message to the Black Fam, I put all these links up there for you because I know it's a lot to remember. So you can just go there and click on it. You'll see what I'm talking about. They come in a little bitty pouch, very, very thin. And what they do is reflect body heat back to you. I think like 85% of your body heat, it reflects back to you. So it may not be enough to keep you absolutely comfortable, but it's enough to keep you from not freezing to death. So if you have that, you want to put one below you and one on top of you, if at all possible, to keep your heat from going into the floor. You lose a lot of body heat if you sleep on the floor. So if like everybody's bundled up together in an extra room, you're sleeping on the floor, put a blanket under you so you don't lose heat into the floor. But you put one under you, one on top of you, and then you can put like a regular comforter or duvet or whatever on top of that. That will keep you warm as well. Also, if it's summertime, you can use these Mylar blankets to cover windows, and it'll reflect the heat out, and it'll cool the room a couple degrees. Because sometimes, even up north, it gets very hot in summer. So it'll actually just make your windows look like it's got like a mirrored coating on it or something like that. Good to have. And these Mylar blankets are not expensive. It's been a while since I've bought one, but they're no more than a couple dollars. So it's not something far-fetched that's going to be a big burden on your bank account. They're good to have. Get a bunch of them if you get them. If you need communication, which of course you are, sometimes the cell phone towers are down. It's good to have two-way radios. Those are some of the best ways that you can communicate. They come in sets of 2. Some of them come in sets of 3. They're good for different distances. So look and see. Some might be good for 20 miles. Some might be good for 30 miles. Get the longest distance that you can afford. Because that way, if your cell phone goes down, say your wife is at home and you're at work wherever, a few miles away, you can still be able to talk to that person. And you can keep it in the car, keep it in your go bag, keep it on your person, whatever you want. But it's good to have because you want to still have that communication. And they actually, for cell phones, because the batteries run out, I know I was talking to a lot of my people on the East Coast yesterday, and they were saying their power was out. They have cell phone chargers that work, they're like wind up. You kind of crank them, and that they get their power from you cranking them, and then you can power your cell phone. They also have flashlights that work like that. They have radios that work like that. So, I mean, it's probably going to take a lot of cranking, but in an emergency situation, I don't think you'll care. I think you'll just be happy that you have something that works, especially if you run out of batteries or something like that. You want to make sure that you can listen to the radio. It's also good to have those weather radios they sell in a lot of parts of the country, just to be able to keep an eye and check what's going on in case the TV goes out or something like that. You want to know what's going on. A pressure cooker. One of the best storage foods that you can have are beans, because beans have a lot of fiber in them. So again, they're not going to constipate you. Beans have a lot of different nutrients in them, so they're going to keep you strong. They also fill you up. You can make just a bowl of beans or some bean soup that is great, and you don't get hungry. You can literally eat, once you train your body, you can eat one bowl of bean soup a day and you'll be cool until the next day. And that's also something we should be doing, is fasting, getting our body used to being without food so you don't freak out. You can eat one meal a day and you won't die. I fasted up to 14 days, just drinking like carrot juice or doing the master cleanse with lemonade or whatever. And it cleans your body and you actually feel better. Usually I have more energy on the last day than I did on the first day. So don't think that you have to eat 3 meals a day or you're going to die. You don't. But that's why you need to be fasting now, to get your body ready, just to endure. Because especially if you don't have a lot of food stored, you can't be eating like that. You're going to run out in no time. And then you're going to be looking at your children hungry, looking at you like, Mommy, Daddy, why can't you provide me food? Don't be that person. Train your body. Get some discipline. But the pressure cooker, instead of taking a couple hours to cook beans, can cook it in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And it won't take as much water, because water is going to be at a premium. You don't want to be wasting it. So the pressure cooker will help cook your whatever food in just a fraction of the time. So you're using less heat, you're using less water, and you're able to survive using that. Another thing I was asked to talk about a little bit is canning and food preservation. And this is something I was afraid to do for a long time. It just seemed scary, and I didn't want to mess it up, but it's so easy when you start. Now vegetables and beans and things like that, the foods with lower acid, are foods that I really don't mess with too much, and it's usually just as cheap to get them already canned from the grocery store. But things like fruit and jelly and pickles and things like that, I can them all the time. And it's fine, especially when you see a sale on something. Like a lot of times I'll go to fruit markets and they may have a whole case of fruit that you can get really cheap, but you have to do something with it like within the next few days or it'll go bad or something like that. If you have the ability to can, you can do that with no problem. And actually, that's something I do as a side business in the summer. I make like homemade jelly, strawberry jelly, peaches, nectarine, just any kind of jelly. And, you can sell that because people like it. It's homemade. It only has 3 or 4 ingredients in it, if that. But just for day-to-day storage. Say you want to make strawberry jelly. All you need is strawberries, sugar, and pectin. And pectin you can buy from the store. It's in the canning section. It's just some powder you put in there. It helps make a gel so it can solidify. And you basically just cook that for a few minutes until it starts to get thick. And there's 1,000,001 recipes online for it. But just to give you a synopsis of how easy it is, you just cook it on your stovetop until it gets thick. Once it gets thick, or while you're cooking it, while you're waiting on it to get thick, there's like a big pot of water. It's called a water bath canner. And you let the water boil in there. When the water starts boiling, you can put the jars in there and let the jars boil for a little while. That basically is just sterilizing them, safety precaution. Once your jelly gets thick enough, take the cans out, put the jelly in, put the lids on them, put them back submerged in the water for 10 to 15 minutes, pull them out, and you've just canned jelly. It's literally that easy. For pickles, you basically put some herbs in with some water and some vinegar. Slice your cucumbers, put them in the jars that have been sterilized, drop them in the water bath canner for 15-20 minutes, bring them up. You have pickles. You can make hot pickles, dill pickles, whatever kind you like. And it's very cheap, especially, like I said, if you go to a place that has surplus vegetables or if you have your own garden. Very easy to do, because a lot of times when you have your own garden, everything is ripe at one time and you end up with all the stuff you don't know what to do. So canning is very, very easy. They have one of those dummy books for canning that is really good. They have the Ball Blue Book of Canning, which is like a classic. That's really good, but we all have the internet. All you have to do is go online and look up water bath canning, and it will tell you, what's there and what to do. Very, very, very simple. Dehydration. They have dehydrators. And a lot of times you can even find this stuff on like Craigslist or whatever. You can get it used and it's even cheaper. But even buying them, they're not that much really. And you can dehydrate if you eat meat. You can make beef jerky. You can make fruit roll-ups. You can just dehydrate fruit to eat later. If you put them in a vacuum sealed bag, they'll last for a long time. This is all stuff that we can do, but we need to get in the mind state or the mindset to do it. It's nothing difficult, nothing at all that's difficult or that's going to be so expensive that you can't do it. Now, if you have more money to spend, then you can definitely get more stuff. They have freeze-dried and dehydrated vegetables. There's some links to that on the blog as well that you can get. And the dehydrated vegetables last like 10 years, 15 years. The freeze-dried can last up to 20 years. And they come in pretty nice sized cans. They can still be hidden, though. They're not so big that you can't hide them, wherever you feel fit or see fit. But they have all kinds of stuff. If you just get like the regular vegetables and fruit, it's a lot less expensive usually than if you get meals, because they'll have like beef stroganoff and macaroni and cheese and all kinds of like actual meals. To me, I'd rather put them together. So if I was going to buy something like that, say I already have some beans sitting around the house, I might go and get some dehydrated onions and carrots and celery, and with the beans and a little bit of water, now I can make bean soup. So just get in the mindset of thinking like that. What could you use? You have to think about children. What kind of stuff do they like, that you could actually store? For children, I would say banana chips. I have a link to that on the site. Those are probably the least expensive that I've seen, besides the canned oatmeal. Canned banana chips are very inexpensive. I think it's like $6 or $7 a can, but it's a big can. It has a lot in it, and that's just something sweet that they can snack on, but it's still healthy. I'd get a bunch of that for the children just to keep them quiet. They also have food bars. There's a link to that too. And they basically taste like cookies. They're like hard cookies, like they're really dense and really hard, but they taste like cookies, so the children will eat them. I've tasted a couple of them. They're okay. To me, I like making my own cookies, so I don't really like the whole artificial taste kind of thing. I'm kind of picky with that. But in an emergency, believe me, I'd eat them because they taste like cookies. They might not taste like homemade cookies, but they taste like cookies. You've had those before, David. What did you think about them, the food bars?
The food bars, they're filling. They're designed, or the makeup, the way they're set up is to where, you don't get thirsty. They kind of hold back your thirst, so you can eat those all day and not get thirsty if you have to eat them all day. You can get them in the, shaped like a candy bar, or you can get the SOS bars when they use the one, the ones the military uses. It's a giant bar, and you break them off in pieces. And it's good for survival. I've talked to brothers I know where they've gone through the training and they had to survive off those for a month, and they said they stayed alive. Now like I said, they hold back thirst, and also they prevent you from using the bathroom, so they get you constipated. So
Yeah, and that's one common
That's
thing.
a downside.
Yeah, that's one common thing with a lot of the survival food, and that's why I said stock up on the survival food, but also stock up on real food too, so that you're not super constipated.
Yeah.
But you're a cookie fanatic, so how did you feel about the taste?
The taste is not so, it's more so of a cookie, more of a shortbread cookie taste. But you also can get different flavors. You can get apricot, vanilla, lemon. But my favorite is just, I had just a regular flavor. It tastes like a shortbread cookie. If anybody ever had Lorna Doone cookies before they started putting the high fructose corn syrup in them, they started putting sugar in them. They just had them with sugar. They taste like those. So it's a good flavor. But like the downside is they as all military food, they constipate you. So there's something you have to watch out for.
As you can tell, he's bitter because he likes Lorna Doones, and he found out the other day he couldn't have them anymore, so he's a little bitter. It'll be all right. Now, the banana chips. We tested some of the banana chips. I thought they tasted pretty good. I think you were eating them too, though. So
Well, you get tired of them real fast.
Probably because you ate a whole can of them. Though.
Well, yeah, we eat them a lot. I've never had them before, so I just started eating them. But you'll get tired of them real fast. Also, they're very high in fat, very fattening, high fat content. Something you can't eat on a regular basis, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, actually, I think that I read the label, and I think that it was coconut oil that they used for it. So.
Okay. Well, it's coconut oil, then it's okay.
Yeah, because that's a good fat.
Yes, coconut oil is okay, but you get tired of them.
Don't eat a whole can.
Don't eat a whole can. You get tired of them real fast, and you won't want to eat them. So
yeah.
I'd say get the dehydrated fruit. That'd be better. That's something you don't get tired of. It's a good flavor. Well, banana chips stayed pretty fresh when we.
Yeah, they were good. That's why you got tired of them, because you ate so many.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that has to mean the flavor's pretty good.
Yeah, flavor's good.
You ate until you didn't want anymore.
You get tired of them real fast. So I say the fruit. The fruit's more expensive to buy in the cans. I can't remember.
It depends on the fruit.
Yeah, I can't remember the price. I know it depends on the company you go to, but they have so many different varieties of fruit. But the one I didn't like the oranges. The oranges was kind of a strange flavor, but I still say get the fruit over the banana chips. I'd say go with the fruit.
Okay.
Dehydrated fruit.
And the reason we were looking at the oranges is because it was a citrus fruit, and you don't want to have nutritional deficiency.
Real tart.
Yeah. But we were experimenting with that because a vitamin C deficiency can cause something called scurvy. So I was trying to see how that would be. They were a bit tart. I don't know if sweetening up would help or not. But in an emergency situation, you're going to eat what you have. But yeah, so the oranges, and I think the oranges were kind of expensive too, so that might be something you want to avoid. But I think the banana chips were pretty good. You just have to eat it. We got like a case of it, and I think we ate like 3 cans of it, like back to back, because they were good. We had never really eaten banana chips, and they were really good.
I've never eaten them before. So
yeah, so we went a little overboard with them. But for children, I think they're good. Just don't let them eat the whole can at once. Have a little more restraint than we have. We're foodies, so we have a habit of doing that kind of stuff. I would say, and there, like I said, there's links to all the stuff on the blog. But as far as the freeze-dried and dehydrated stuff, the best prices that I've seen have been a company called Honeyville Grains. And if you get on their mailing list, usually around the holidays, they'll send you out an email, and it'll be like 10% off. Your purchase, and shipping is very reasonable. I think shipping's like $4 or $5 flat rate. So that's something that definitely makes it worthwhile, because if you look at a lot of companies, the shipping depends on how much you spend or how much the weight is. So you can end up spending a lot of money on shipping. So just having a flat rate of $5 is great.
Mary Jane Farms.
Yeah, thank you, because I was thinking about what I forgot. Another good company, if you're health conscious and you want survival food that's going to be good for you and non-constipating, is Mary Jane Farms. They have organic food, and they actually season it so it tastes good. It's not nasty. They have meals with couscous, with rice, with pasta, and you just add water. It's like camp food. You can buy it in individual pouches, or you can buy it in bulk. It's a lot cheaper to buy it in bulk and then package it yourself. If you're going to do it for storage and you want a lot of it. If you just want a pouch or two to try it out, then just get that. But they actually taste good. We had a couple pouches of that. The couscous is what you liked.
And the black bean dip.
Oh, the black bean dip was good.
Add water to that.
Yeah, we bought the black bean dip in bulk. Well, actually, we bought a pouch of it, and it was so good, we bought it in bulk, and then we ate the whole bag of that. So, the black bean dip is the bomb. So that's a really good resource because it's not cheap, but it's good food, and it'll last. If you package it yourself and package it right, it will last a long time, and it's not going to have a lot of chemicals in it. It's organic. It's vegetarian. So, I mean, you really can't get any better because the MREs taste nasty. I have a couple MREs, and I'm afraid to eat them. I haven't even tried them because I've just heard
I tried
stories.
one. They're awful. I tried the
No.
Mexican macaroni.
Are you serious?
It's awful. It's god awful.
Yeah, and the list of ingredients is like a page long, so it's got a lot of nasty stuff in there you don't want in your body, and it's nasty. So go with the Mary Jane Farms because at least the few things I've had have been good. So we can both agree on that. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to add?
Toasting bread. You mentioned the toasting bread. You didn't mention that already?
No. You want me to do it, or you want to do it?
You do. Great show.
Don't be trying to make me talk for an hour. You are fired as a co-host. Bread is something that is a very easy food to store because it's always on sale. And I have a video on here, so I guess I can say I can show you better than I can tell you because you're not going to believe me. Because when I was told this, I was like, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. So I know you about to say, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. But it is what it is. If you get bread and you toast it just regularly, you don't have to burn it. Just toast it regularly until it's a nice brown color. Leave it sitting out for a while, anywhere from a few hours to a day. It just depends on how the humidity is in your area. It'll start to dry out. Once it dries out, put it in a Rubbermaid container and just leave it there. It will keep indefinitely. It will, it doesn't attract pests or anything like that. You just put the Rubbermaid lid on it, put it in the Rubbermaid container, put the lid on, fill it up. You know, every time you go to the store, you see bread on sale, toast it, put it in there. It just lasts, it does, nothing happens to it. And I didn't believe it when somebody told me that, so I did an experiment. This was around the time Obama was getting into office. And I thought, and see, this is where it's good to have a balance because I was just sure that the world was going to end. And so I was just doing all kinds of extra stuff, and my husband was looking at me like I'm crazy trying to contain the madness. But that's one of the things. I was so desperate. I thought that the world was about to come to an end right at that moment. So I started toasting the bread. And so I still have bread that I toasted before Obama got into office. And it's not moldy. It shows no sign of decay. It hasn't attracted any kind of pests or anything like that. It still looks like it did the day I toasted it. And if you don't believe me, as I said, if you go to YouTube, type in what mothers seldom teach and look through the videos, there'll be a survival video on toast or bread. It'll say something like that. And I'll actually show you my toast and show you there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I'm not going to eat it right now just because it's like a mental thing. I know how long it's been up there. But in a survival situation, I haven't.
ate one, and it's okay.
You ate one? Are you serious?
I ate one, it's okay.
Okay, well, he lived to tell the tale. It didn't kill him.
It was just real dry, but it was okay.
Did you put jelly on it, or you just ate it?
No, I just ate it just plain to see how it was. It was okay. I mean, it tastes like flavorless croutons.
Okay.
Like unseasoned croutons.
Well, yeah, that's how it feels like a crouton. It's not like rock hard, but it feels like a crouton.
Yeah, I mean, you can live off of it. I mean, if a situation came about, you can live off of it with no problem. It just tastes like unseasoned croutons. So,
how long ago did you eat it?
About 2 months ago.
Okay, so that's at least 4-year-old bread.
It tasted like crouton, like a giant crouton. So
now we have a friend of one who told us about this, who has bread that is like 15 years old.
15 years old, yeah.
Yeah. And he guards it with his life. He's like serious about this bread. He won't let anybody eat it.
He hasn't tried it either.
Yeah. I've heard that he don't want anybody to eat it because he feels like that's his best bread because it's been aging a long time. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like some 4-year-old bread. But so I'm just saying, there's a lot of different things that you can do that are not going to cost you a lot of money for food storage. Like I said, canning, preserving, just getting extra when you're at the grocery store. You can mess around and try the bread if you're brave. We have somebody who tasted it. He said it's fine. So Just a lot of things that you can do. Can you think of anything else that we talk about on a regular basis or anything like that as far as planning and preparedness before we go to the phone lines?
Well, no, something to mention is water. The same website, emergencyessentials.com. You can buy boxes of pouched water, 8-ounce pouches of water. And I think it lasts up to 35 years, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like those high C drinks kind of.
Yeah, except they're actually full. There's not too much air in it. It's just maybe a little bit of air. And I'll try one. I mean, the water tastes good. It's not alkaline, but what is it? It's distilled water.
Okay.
It's distilled water, which means it is evaporated water. They actually call it evaporated water. And that's how it was purified. And I think it's $50 a box, I believe. And I don't remember the price.
You can buy them singly. I think they're like $30 cents each. You can buy a single if you don't want a whole box, I believe.
Yeah, but you can get a whole box, and the water tastes good, and they last a long time. I don't believe the weather affects them. I don't know as far as freezing. I didn't check that deep into it, but I do believe they will not evaporate in extreme heat because of the packaging.
Yeah, they're packaged for the
food
storage.
Right. They use some food grade plastic. Like if you store them in the basement, like if you store plastic bottles in the basement, actually the smell of the basement will leach into the plastic because plastic is porous, and your water will actually taste like the basement. That's why it's not good to store water in the basement. If you do store water in the basement, use glass. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, always store your water in glass containers, and he was right because plastic takes on this environment. So you never want to store any kind of water in a basement or someplace that's basically nasty. Back to my point, those plastic pouches will not take on the surroundings. It won't taste like the basement, so you can actually leave them out in the open.
Okay. And we're going to be coming to the phone lines in just a few minutes, literally. So the dial-in number is 760-569-7676. Again, 760-569-7676. Participation code 948656#. That's 948656#. Now, one thing that I do want to stress, because a lot of earthquakes have been happening in weird places from time to time, you want to make sure that you secure your food. You don't just want to have them in a closet. You don't just want to have them on a shelf. Make sure that you secure your food. You can tie them up there, use like different kind of twine, or I don't know what it's called. But make sure that when an earthquake comes, your house is going to be shaking and almost everything is going to end up on the floor. Make sure that your food is secure, or water, if you're storing them in glass, make sure it's secure, because it's not going to do you any good if you store something in glass and then it breaks, or if you have a whole bunch of food and it gets messed up, toppling on the floor and having different things fall on top of it. So make sure that your food is secure. Now, as far as when I was opening the show, I was talking about evacuating and having a place for you and your family to go, and also making your house ready for somebody else and being comfortable for somebody else. And we've talked about that a little bit, about who would be a good candidate to come and who would not be welcome. Do you have any words on that? Because I know you're looking at it from a male perspective, security a little bit different than women. Because women, we just want to take in everybody and be everybody's, nurturer, but can't do that.
Well, just like you stated earlier, take in people that you can have where it's mutually beneficial to both parties. They may not have enough food, a lot of food, but they have a lot of ammo, and you have a lot of food, so that would work. Hate to say this, not to be mean, but this is how it is. Don't take in no overweight Negroes, because they're going to eat everything in sight. They obviously have no control over their, their appetites. Don't have any overweight Negroes come to your house in an emergency situation, because they're going to eat everything. I mean, they're not going to be satisfied. They're not going to be able to eat one MRE and think they can survive. So they're just going to keep eating. People don't realize, particularly black people, the devil realizes this, the cracker realizes this, but Negroes don't realize you can survive off one meal. A day. You can survive off one meal every 3 days. You can survive off 2 meals every 5 days. The devil knows this. Negroes do not. That's another thing. Also, try to take in people with the same mindset as you do. I hate to say it may not be your family. Family is not blood. It's not. family of those with the same mind you have. So take in like-minded people, and it may not be your family. You may have to turn your own family away. I mean, if your family comes with nothing, I mean, that's not a good situation for your family. You need to take somebody in who understands the time, who understands what's going on, and have made some kind of preparedness. So like I said, you can mutually, it can be beneficial to to both families, and that's the hardest thing. I have two daughters live in a different city, and I'm not sure if it'll be a good idea to have my daughters here, because my daughters, live with their mother. Their mother's a Negro.
And they're going to want to bring their mama.
Yeah, my daughters are Negroes. They're going to bring their mama. I don't want their mama here, and it might not be something that's good for my present family. And these are hard decisions you might have to make in that situation. You may have to shoot some black people. You can't eat bullets, but other people may have to eat bullets, if you know what I mean. You may have to shoot some Negroes. You may have to shoot some people you know. You may have to. And these decisions, these are tough decisions you have to make. Also, what's good to do is turn your food into furniture. Hide your food in your furniture, your food storage. If you don't have any good places to keep it, you can hide your food in plain sight. Make sure that if an emergency situation does come about and the government or local government, whatever, is giving out MREs, giving out rations, make sure that's what you keep out in the open. So if these fools go from door to door, kicking in doors, they did in Katrina. And this devil had a story he told me. He said they were going from door to door. They were kicking in doors. And the devil was smart enough to the food that they were passing out, he left it all out in the open. So I got the same food you got. Negroes, they didn't want MREs. They didn't want no damn mainstay bars or SOS bars. They wanted hamburgers and French fries. So they saw the MREs. They didn't want that. They kept on going. So keep the government issued food out in the open and make sure your food is hidden in your furniture. Make your food your furniture.
All right. That's definitely something to think about, especially because so many of us have split families and things like that too. And we've started actually talking to the children a little bit to let them know. I don't know, it's kind of hard to word it, but pretty much let them know, no matter what, you can always come here, but that apron string is going to have to be cut. You're welcome, but your mom,
Definitely not welcome, but that's the ugly reality of it,
Right.
They're not going to want to come. They're going to, they're going to stay with their mother to the end, whatever the end is, or whatever the situation is. So, there's not too much I can do about that. But those are some ugly realities that you may have to deal with. You may have to turn your family away.
You might have to kidnap.
Yeah. You might have to kill some people you love. You may have to. That's the ugly reality of it. If it comes down to survival. And this is just how it is, survival of the fittest. You have to survive in this situation. So you may have to make some tough decisions.
Yeah, man, especially a lot of us have family. And I promise I'm coming to the phone line in 2 minutes. But, you might have that crackhead. And, we all have a crackhead in the family. And you love them. But you can't have a crackhead staying with you when this is going down. You know what I'm saying? You can't have somebody who loves drama staying with you when this is going down, because when this is going down, you have to be on one accord. You cannot have that family member that always has to cause conflict. That's the wrong time and the wrong place. And really to avoid all of that, I know we're talking about extreme situations, somebody might have to, get popped or something like that. But the best way to avoid that is just to keep a low profile. Tell people to prepare, tell people to buy a little extra this or that, but really stay low key. If you have had the fortune to get some stuff, don't let anybody else know that you have stuff. And that way they ain't even thinking about you like that or coming to you like that. But so many of us get stuff and then we want to brag about it. And then everybody want to come to us. And then that's when you're going to have to pop people. But if you stay low key, that's not going to be as much of an issue.
And never talk about food storage over the phone. Never send pictures, because phone, we've seen Enemy of the State with Will Smith. The devil, he puts a lot of lies in these movies, but it puts a lot of truth in it. They do. Some of these calls are recorded. Certain words do set off certain things in the phone system. So don't talk about food storage over the phone. Don't send pictures, because we all know these pictures go into servers. Do not send pictures of food storage or anything like that over the internet. If it's something you really don't care about, not a big deal, okay. But if it's something that you want to hide, then keep it hidden.
All right. So we are going to go to the phone lines again, 760-569-7676, 948656#. That's 948656#. I see a couple of you dropped off. I know I'm being long-winded, but you can come on and call back in. 5469, you're live. Five, 4, 6, 9. All right. I am assuming that they are just listening in. Now, this is going to be a really good program today because it's going to be part 1 and part 2. Like I said, we are doing our little running off at the mouth about food storage, a little impromptu show today. And then Brother DJ and Brother Commit will be following after the show. So we're going to continue to talk about food storage for a little while today, but if nobody calls in, if nobody has any questions or additions, then we'll probably end the show a little bit early and enjoy some quality time. So if you have anything to add to the conversation, go on and call in. This is definitely something that needs to be talked about. I guess we can go back to talking about go bags because a lot of people don't have those, don't think about them, don't keep them in the car. What are some things that you think are essential to be, ready to go at any time? What would you put in yours?
Well, goes without saying, water for one thing. Flashlight, matches, waterproof matches in particular. I'd say MREs because it's something you just eat on the fly. You don't have to heat it up. If you can't get something to eat, you can cook. Let's say MREs. A blanket, which is good. Also, what's good people don't know about, which if anybody lives by Kroger's, the devil back in the 40s, World War I and World War II, they actually put in their to-go packs. They put Hershey bars. Hershey bars are good for stores. They last forever. And it's good for energy. Of course it'll rot your teeth, but if you're in an emergency situation, you're not worried about that. Plus, if you're just in an emergency situation for maybe just a couple of weeks, then it's not going to do too much damage to you anyway. But you can stock up on, you can actually put one of those large, I believe Kroger sells those large Hershey bars on sale for like $1.10 a piece. So you can get 3 or 4 of those Hershey bars. You can stock up on those. I mentioned the blanket already. Also a compass. Also, you can get one of those. You can go online on one of those crazy specialty stores. And you can get a knife, one of those Rambo knives. It has a compass on the back. You open up the back where the compass is. They have waterproof matches. They have forgot the name of the kit, but a little kit you can use to start a fire without the matches. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can get and put in your pack. You have to do some research, go to the websites that sell them, and see what's in them, and just break them down. You probably can go to the dollar store and get a lot of stuff cheaper, like the first aid kits. I think a first aid kit costs like $20. You can take half of that and make the same first aid kit, from the dollar store. First aid kit is something good to have. Also, ankle braces, knee braces, elbow braces are something good to have in case you have to do some hiking or, if you injure yourself. Those are always good to have. Splints, they're good to have. Believe it or not, if you can, I know it kind of sounds crazy, but crutches. You may need crutches. You can walk on crutches with a backpack on your back. Also, they have brother I know in the military, he says they have these hideaway backpacks where it's actually you could store your food under your clothes. Nobody can see it. They have the soldiers using those now. So instead of having that backpack on, people know if you have a backpack, they'll know something's in there. It fits to your body and you can put your clothes on over it. This is something that's not being sold in the public. It's pretty new. Brother told me it's something new military is using right now that's new, but you can actually hide 50 pounds worth of equipment under your clothes. It flattens it out that much. It's new technology, something new, something that just, is not in the public. But Make sure that keep it down to the bare essentials. You don't want to have a lot, so if you can hide your clothes, it'd be a good idea to do that. And make sure you get a small backpack. They actually sell flattened backpacks. Get one as flat as you can. If you have to, you can buy. Believe it or not, they have water backpacks. Particularly our people don't know about this, but devils know about this in particular because they're the ones that are always bike riding. They have these backpacks you can put on, and they're actually full of water, and the water line runs up your neck to your mouth. And that's something good you can strap to your back, and you could have water hidden in plain sight. You can have it strapped right to your back, right to your body before you put your clothes on, and nobody will see it. I saw a devil, matter of fact, a couple of days ago. As cold as it is, he was biking, and I've seen him. I've seen the big ones, never saw the small one. And he had the little tube run to his mouth, and I didn't see the back. I said, "Hey, what's that tube running to your mouth?" He said, it's a backpack. I said, well, I don't see a backpack. What do you mean? So he took his shirt off and showed me. He had strapped around himself. He had, clipped on like, the clips, like backpack clips. He had them clipped on, and it held, I believe, like 4 gallons of water. And it covered his whole back, and it was flat as a pancake. He drank about half of it, but still, even when it was full, it was still flat. So that's something good you can have. You can actually have that on your back. And and a knapsack, for your supplies. And also, they sell miniature tents. You can get a tent that fits in the palm of your hand. Actually, you can fit in your pocket.
Yeah, that's good. That kind of stuff is good to have in the car, as well as like hand warmers and feet warmers, because I was freaked out because I used to go to Chicago a lot. And then one day I was watching the news and I saw one winter that a snowstorm had hit real quick and people were absolutely stranded on the expressway and nobody could really get to them to rescue them. So once they ran out of gas, they were pretty much out of luck and they were stranded there for, I think, 2 or 3 days just on the highway. And that's a situation where if you have made some preps and you have some stuff in your car, you're going to make it a lot easier than people who have not. A lot of the things that you were talking about just made me feel and think about Walmart, because they have a camping section or even any kind of outdoor store.
A real decent camping section.
Yeah, just go and look and see what they have, because they are always coming out with products that we haven't heard of, because we go to Walmart, like go to the electronics section or wherever, but we don't a lot of times go to the camping section and the fishing section and all that kind of stuff. Go and just see what they have. And just pick stuff up. Sometimes I get things just because I don't necessarily need them, but just because I'll go on and pick something up. So that's
and also with the hand warmers and feet warmers, somebody has used them who's worked in the freezer before. You have to put them on over your socks, because if you put them close to your skin, they will give you a chemical burn, which I've experienced. And my feet are pretty tough working through the years, but you have to put socks on. You have to put the foot warmers and hand warmers on. Same thing with your hand warmers. You have to put them over your gloves. You have to wear 2 pair of gloves, because they will give you a bad chemical burn, nasty chemical burn. Okay. Because they have chemicals, and some of them have pork in them. Some of them have glycerin, so you have to get the ones without glycerin. A lot of them have hog in them. Devil puts hog in everything.
Okay, I didn't know that part, so good thing I found that out. Another good place to go to is the surplus store, the Army surplus store. Most cities have them. Just go in there and look and see what they have. A lot of times they'll have duffel bags and sleeping bags, and what else they have in there?
Camouflage uniforms, different color camouflage uniforms, canteens, pretty much everything. And a lot of those guys that run those stores, or they are survival experts. These guys, for some reason, the one in St. Louis, my hometown, this devil, it's still there. It's on Woodson and Natural Bridge. This crazy devil was a survival expert. This devil could start a fire like in 10 seconds with that little Kindle starter with the little thing with 2 stones. He was an expert. So if you just go there and just pick. These devils will show you anything about survival if you ask them. These devils are really ingenious with this stuff. They show you how to wash. They can show you how to wash your clothes. Actually clean your clothes with a 5-gallon bucket. These devils are in just.
And they like to run their mouth.
Yeah, and just pick their brains.
Yeah.
And then when they start running them out, they start giving you free stuff. Or they'll give you discounts. They don't get, a lot of people don't talk to them. A lot of people are into survival. So if they get somebody who's into it, even if it's a Negro, they will actually give you discounts and give you free stuff, and they will help you. So that's also good to do. Go to survival stores and just start talking to these crackers, picking their brains, and they'll give you discounts to give you free stuff, and they'll tell you what you need to do to survive. And in most cases, they will come to your house and show you what you need to do to survive.
I don't think I'll do that though.
We had this one devil. This was when I was in Nation of Islam. I was in St. Louis, mosque number 28, and we actually, the devil did a workshop on survival, and this devil showed us how to take care of using the bathroom, do number 1, number 2, in your home, in the basement. He showed us if your gas gets cut off, which my ex-wife actually used before. She told me about it. You can hook an apparatus up to your water heater that will heat your water. As long as you have running water, you can heat your water. It's the apparatus you hook up. If you have electricity and don't have gas, this devil showed us a lot of things. A lot of things I don't remember, but a lot of things I do remember. He did show us. He showed us how to wash our clothes with a 5-gallon bucket, which I mentioned earlier, which is real easy to do, just using gravity. And you'd be surprised. I didn't think it would work. And when I pulled the clothes out, my clothes were clean, and all the dirty water was still in the bucket. I was amazed, just shaking the bucket up and down, just up and down. I mean, it's kind of taxing, but my clothes were clean, and they were damn near dry. All the water came out. I was just amazed. And the devil didn't charge us anything. He did it just because he was a devil who loved to run his mouth. So go to those places and talk to these crackers. Go to, if you have them in your city, go to an army base, and you'll be surprised. They will show you everything, and they will sell you stuff. You can go to an army surplus store and buy MREs. You can go buy this stuff, and it's really inexpensive. And believe it or not, all these army crackers, all of them are in to survival, and they will help you. They will help out a lot. It's something that I neglected to do over the years because I knew better. But now I know better, I do better. But army bases, all these crackers, army bases, they're all survival experts. Go to the army base, go to the naval base, any base you have. This military, go and pick their brains on any kind of survival, and they will be more than happy to help you because they don't do anything. But they're not doing anything half the time.
And another thing you made me think of is on some of those survival sites, they actually do have a washing machine kind of thing that you can use without power. Again, it's like a thing, you just churn it. I haven't used one. I don't have one. It would probably be kind of cool to have, though, to make washing your clothes easier, because you have to, like I said, have good hygiene in that situation. It'll make everybody more comfortable. So that's something to look at. And I don't think it was too expensive because it was no electricity or any kind of special hookup or anything like that. It was just kind of a plastic thing. You put your clothes in and crank the handle, and it kind of flipped your clothes around and cleaned them. Another thing is water filters. You can get either water purification tablets, which are okay, but you're going to run out of those pretty quickly if it's over a prolonged period of time. So they have water filters that you can use that do not require electricity. They just work on gravity.
Called gravity purifiers.
Yeah, so that would be a good investment. They're not terribly expensive. There's also, if you go to YouTube or go online, people who actually can make their own water filtration system using like sand and rocks or coffee filters, a lot of different things.
Yeah, you can get a plastic bag. You can get a milk container, a gallon milk container. Cut the bottom, not the top. Cut the bottom off. You charcoal at the bottom. Then rock, then sand, then rock, then sand, then rock, then sand, all the way up to the top. And when that water goes through the filtration to come out, you got purified water. It's that simple. Also, you can use bleach. So on YouTube, this devil shows you how to use bleach, and it's been tested, laboratory tested. This devil uses bleach to purify water. I can't tell you exactly how he does it. Just click on YouTube. Go on YouTube, click on purifying water with bleach, and it should. A bunch of videos will pop up, as a matter of fact.
Now, bleach is good, but you don't want to store it in mass quantities because I didn't even realize it until a couple years ago, but it does have an expiration date. So you don't want to have like 10 gallons of bleach and then they all go bad and then they're worthless. So I would store, 1 or 2 containers of bleach at a time, something that you can use, but I wouldn't go overboard on the bleach. One thing, if you need to sterilize something, and I know that for Muslims it's going to be like, oh, I don't believe you're recommending this, whatever, I ain't spooky, I'm trying to survive, would be to get some kind of alcohol, because alcohol doesn't go bad. And I haven't researched it yet. I need to see what kind of alcohol is best for that, because I don't know anything about alcohol, but I know that you can use it for wounds and things like that. And it's not going to go bad like even rubbing alcohol goes bad after a while. Or not goes bad, but it just loses its effectiveness. So that's something that I need to put on my to-do list to find out what kind of alcohol would be best for that. But I'm imagining you could probably use any of it in an emergency situation. And another thing would be masks in case of some kind of chemical or biological threat. They definitely have gas masks. They have lots of different kinds of masks. I've heard that you can make masks out of charcoal and cloth if you need to, but it's good to just have masks. Now, you want to be careful about getting those used because from what I heard, a lot of them come from Israel and they're pretty much damaged. Sometimes the seals might not be good on them anymore. They're kind of old, relic kind of things. So want to be careful with the masks, but I would YouTube that and see, because like I said, I've heard that you can make them out of charcoal and cloth. I haven't done that before, but that would be another makeshift thing, especially because most of us get charcoal over the summer when we're trying to do our thing on the grill. So keep that. I mean, basically, all that we do, and we don't have everything that we need by any stretch of the imagination, so don't think that we have it all together, we're prepared and we're experts or anything like that. No. But we do sit here a lot and we strategize that aspect of warfare. How do we survive? Who would our friends be? Who would our foes be? What do we do? What do we need to get? What kind of training do we need? Learn CPR, learn just basic stuff, learn basic first aid. A lot of times they'll have free classes. Just, check online in your area. These are all things that you need to know. And even as far as just having extra stuff around, be it hygiene products, be it, food or whatever, you're preparing for any situation. So say that nothing happens. Say that there's not a race war. Say there's no natural disaster. Say none of that happens. Well, one thing that we're all at risk for right now is job loss. We're losing our jobs like it's nothing. So if you lose your job, but you have a bunch of canned goods stored up, that's one less bill to have to worry about. It's day-to-day situations. And when crap hits the fan could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. For some people, it'll be a hurricane. For somebody else, it'll be losing a job. For somebody else, it'll be, something else. It just depends. But we have to start training our minds to think about this. You have to start training yourself when you go to the store to look for that extra thing that you might need, be it an extra candle today, some extra batteries tomorrow, an extra pack of water. We shouldn't be constantly caught off guard. It just doesn't make sense. If you live on the coast, be it the southern coast, the east coast, the west coast, storms are going to come. If you live in California, you need to be prepared for earthquakes. If you live on the East Coast, you need to be prepared for hurricanes. These aren't the kind of things that we should be surprised about. I live in Michigan. We might get snowed in. This is, a lot of times we're acting like every time something happens, oh, look, God's doing this and God's doing that. Well, I mean, is it a surprise that it's a blizzard in the middle of winter? Is that really something that's shocking? I mean, you should have something. And especially if you have children, you should have something. And even if you're like me and my husband, who, the children don't live in the home with us, but you should be prepared in case they, need to come and be in the home with us. If you are able to convince them to leave the environment they're in and come to a better equipped environment, you need to be prepared. Even if, we're a family of 2. A lot of the people that we would consider having come to our home, have children. So they may have 3 or 4 people coming. Well, that's bigger than our family. So if we just prepared for 2, we'd be in trouble, because now there's 6. Our household has increased like times 3. So you just need to be prepared, be it, a couple of weeks, or if you have the means to do it, if you can have a year's worth of food, then do that. Not everybody has the means to do that. But just get what you can get, but you should at least have no less than a week. I'd say 2 weeks. You should at least have that, because usually the roads will be clear, power would be on. 2 weeks would be a pretty decent time, especially if you fasted some of that time. You should be able to make it. So I'd say that would be a minimum, and that's not hard to do. That's a few bags of beans, depending on the size of your family, some beans, some canned goods, maybe some granola bars or something. And, that's one thing that I didn't say. I'm trying to think of anything that I may have forgotten, is to rotate. So if you have, like canned goods, I don't eat canned goods a lot, rarely. Every now and then I might eat some canned black beans if I want to make some quick nachos or something like that. But I'm really not into canned goods. So if I have like some canned carrots or something like that, I have to find a way when they're going to expire. I would either give them to somebody before they expire, or find a recipe to use them and use them up real quick and then buy more. You don't want to waste your money. But so just come up with a way to use it. Like I said, if you want to donate it, then donate it. But if you can use it in your house, then do that. Eating canned goods every now and then won't hurt you. So you might have some green beans and you make a casserole, or you might get some carrots and you can just cook them with some brown sugar and some butter and have like a candied carrot glaze thing on it to kind of give it some flavor, since it's, canned. But, that's one way to save money. You just have to, really more than anything, just start thinking about this. And don't just think about it, but do something. Make some action. Even if it's just going to the dollar store and getting something, do that. And don't say, I'm going to do it next week. Tomorrow, get up off your butt, go to the dollar store, buy something. Spend $10. Get some first aid, some personal hygiene, something. Spend $10 tomorrow on something that's going to be an investment in your future. Because we sit here and we philosophize about what we need to do, and we never do it. We never get anything done. And then we're sitting here like the people in Hurricane Katrina, and it's painful to look at those pictures, because those people needed help. And they thought that help would come. They really thought that help would come. And when help came, it came to kill them. It came, if they survived, the help wanted to make sure that they didn't survive any longer. It was horrible. And it hurts to see that kind of imagery, but that's the reality. We cannot continue to say the white man is the devil and then expect him to help us. And I would be so disappointed if anybody from our audience was in that situation, because we of all people should know better. We don't have our heads stuck in the sand. So do something. That's if you don't take away anything else from today, take away the fact that you need to do something. It's a little too late to go to the stores today. They're going to be closing. But tomorrow, on your way home from work, go stop at a grocery store, spend $10 in canned goods. Go to the dollar store, spend $10 in the dollar store. Just go somewhere and get something. Get started.
Also, real quick, insert catching rainwater is a good way to get water. Go to YouTube, do a search on catching rainwater on YouTube, and a lot of videos will pop up. And there's different ways you can catch rainwater. I know people presently here in the city I live in that I work with, and they use rainwater. They cook with it and everything. They presently use rainwater. So catching rainwater is something good. They talk all that crap about, you shouldn't drink rainwater. Well, these devils are doing it. These devils, the same devil is telling you not to catch rainwater. It's all this and it's all. No, these devils are doing it. I know I work with, I think it's 3 devils. 3 devils I work with, and they catch rainwater and use it.
Now, if you're going to do that, though, be very undercover with it, because in a lot of municipalities, they're making that illegal, and they're actually coming after people for catching rainwater. How insane is that? So if you're going to do it, I have seen videos where they make it. It doesn't seem too hard to make the little contraption to catch it.
Use tarp, yeah.
Yeah, but try to Well, most of us see, and then the beauty of it is, if we're not integrated, if we're really living our philosophy that we don't want to be around white people, then we're good. Because black people ain't gonna know what you're doing. If I did that in my backyard, wouldn't nobody know what I was doing, so I'd be okay. Now, if you're not living what you claim you're living, and you live with a bunch of crackers, then it probably might know what you're doing, and it may cause you some issues. So check and see if it's legal in your area. If it's not legal, then if you do it, then be very cautious. But hopefully most of us know enough that we're not living in the suburbs around a bunch of crackers that's going to be in our business like that, because they're very nosy, and they're going to pay attention to everything that you're doing, everything coming into your home. So if you have like cases of food coming into your home, they're going to peep that.
Universal snoopers.
Yeah.
They'll find out about it.
We really need to stay away from the devil in situations like this. I guess one of the last things I'll say is, like I said, with survival, it's multifaceted. There's a lot of levels to it, a lot of things you can do. Even in landscaping, if you want to landscape your house, or if you're going to have a new tree put in a fruit tree. Put in something that's going to be able to provide food. If you're working on your garden, put in some edible foods. Put in some herbs, because herbs all have healing qualities. Put in like some basil. Basil is antibacterial. It's good for a lot of things. A lot of edible plants that you can fit into your garden. Blueberry bushes, strawberries are easy to grow. Start to try to learn how to garden. You can garden even on cement or on concrete. You can put in a raised bed, which is very easy to make. You just make it out of a couple boards. You can YouTube it, fill it with some organic soil, which will probably be the most expensive part, is getting some good soil, and start planting. That's like one of the easiest things that you can do, but you have to start somewhere. I mean, I just can't stress that enough, because I talk to black people all the time, and they tell me, oh, that sounds good, I'm going to do it. And a year later, they still haven't done it. It happens over and over again. And then when they get into a situation, then they're sorry. I was looking at Facebook yesterday, and somebody said, they had been trying to get their relatives in Manhattan to leave. They had been telling them, get off the island. No, I'm going to wait it out. I ain't worried about it. The hurricane hit like around 8:30, and all of a sudden they say, wow, man, we want to leave. We want to get out of here. Well, it's too late. It's too late. We have to be smart. We have to foresee these things. We have to plan accordingly. So those are just some of the things that we talk about, some of the things that we've considered. Like I said, we haven't done it all, but just some of the things that we have considered for the future. And hopefully it'll help somebody. Hopefully it'll at least get you thinking about what you need, whether, like I said, if it's a financial collapse, a natural disaster, whatever, because I'm tired of seeing us look like these Katrina victims. I'm tired of it. There's no reason for it. Us, out of all people, we should know better. Did you have any closing thoughts?
Nothing else to add.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a short break here. The cipher will be starting in just a little while with part 2 of this. They're going to be going over survival as well. So I really hope that this has done some good for you, that it's given you something to think about. And like I said, a lot of these links are on the blog, messagetotheblackfam.com, because I knew I couldn't put everything down here, and you might not be able to write down everything as I'm talking. So if you go there, you'll see some of the stuff that I was talking about. Maybe you'll make some purchases tonight. That will be a good way to get started. So like I said, hope this helped a little bit, and come back in 14 minutes and we will be doing the cipher survival part 2.